For Kamen Rider's 50th anniversary, two reboots from the classic show era were announced. Kamen Rider Black Sun, which I just did a video on, and the upcoming Shin Kamen Rider, not to be confused with Kamen Rider Shin, which looks to be a reimagining of the original series from 1971. But what confused me about the announcement is the fact that Toei already gave Ichigo the reboot treatment back in 2005 with Kamen Rider the First, creating an awkward scenario where upon release next March, Shin will not only be compared to the TV show, but also the film, so I decided it was a good idea to revisit the first remake and see how it holds up today and see what Shin has to compete against. The start of the movie parallels the first episode of the 71 original almost beat for beat. University student and motorcycle enthusiast Takeshi Hongo is kidnapped by the Emerald-themed obsessed cyborg called Shocker so he can be roboticized into one of their evil minions. But where in the TV show he's rescued by one of his professors before he has a chance to drink the cyber Kool-Aid, the movie actually has both Kamen Rider Ichigo and Nigo begin as brainwashed agents, only able to regain their free will because one of them saw some pretty snowflakes and the other got really horny. By the way, isn't it strange that the first set of villains Ichigo battles includes a Spider-Man and a Batman? I wonder if that was intentional. One thing I really dig about this movie are the costume redesigns. By that, I mean how little redesigning was actually done. I love how they took the original suit and just made it look more up to date. I'm also a sucker for any costume with built-in lighting. Though, I do have one gripe with Ichigo's suit in particular. Why did they make him blue? Look at him, he's blue. Aren't grasshoppers supposed to be, green? I guess it's to make him look more distinct next to Nigo, because otherwise they'd look damn near identical, but I feel like it should have been the other way around. Something I also appreciate about Kamen Rider the First was the decision to keep the uses of CGI to a bare minimum. The Heisei era was the start of the series pushing digital effects as a way to enhance the action, an envelope that would be pushed more and more as the years went on. To be clear, I'm not one of those guys that despises CG as long as it's used as a complement to practical effects, and not replace it, but I do respect the film's sense of restraint. That being said, I do think the Henshin sequence is a bit too minimalistic. By that I mean, it's just one shot of the belt followed by a cut to the rider already in costume. It's a nitpick at the end of the day, but come on. Even as early as the original TV series, they knew that whenever the hero dons his costume, it's supposed to be an event. Back to the plot, once Takeshi comes to his senses and turns his back on Shocker, he attempts to return to his old life, but not before being blamed for a murder that he sort of didn't commit. As he comes to terms with the fact that he's no longer fully human, wow, fuck that guy in particular, Kobe Tachibana, aka Kamen Rider Nigo, is brought in by Shocker to take Takeshi out. Unfortunately for the organization of Robo-Nazis, Tachibana gets the hots for a reporter named Asuka Midorikawa, who despite also being on Shocker's hit list, since she knows about Ichigo's existence, Nigo would save her from assassination, creating tension between himself and Shocker's leadership. One of which looks to be fucking Dracula. Man, I knew these guys were evil, but are you telling me in order to take them down, we're not only gonna need the Kamen Riders, but also the fucking Belmont clan too? Anyways, Tachibana strikes a deal with the higher-ups. He'll take out Kamen Rider Ichigo in exchange for Asuka's safety. But he better hurry up because as it turns out, being converted into a robotic super soldier has a pretty major drawback. Much like a car needing its oil change, cyborgs need to go through blood dialysis periodically or else they'll die. Though conveniently for Takeshi, he doesn't seem to suffer from this. Gotta love that main character immunity. So the two bug boys start duking it out, only for Tachibana to discover that Takeshi also has the hots for Asuka, Asuka has the hots for Takeshi, and realizes that he'll probably end up as the third wheel. But none of that matters when Shocker agents kidnap the female lead and whisk her away to the Fortress of Evil to plan to convert her into the inevitable Robocop gender swap reboot. Our two masked heroes put aside their differences for now and take the fight to those maniacal douchebags, vowing to rider kick the crap out of anyone that gets in their way. And after about 10 minutes of solid choreography and stunt work, the heroine is rescued, the villains are thwarted, at least till the sequel, and our heroes walk valiantly into the night. And that, dear viewer, is Kamen Rider the First. Some may call it cheesy or cliché or outdated. I call it fucking awesome. A faithful modernization with some of the best fight scenes in the series not to be oversaturated with computer effects. The one major gripe I have with this film is a subplot I've neglected to mention up until now. these two young lovers who've been hospitalized due to an illness. It's not very clear where this plotline is going until the third act, and the pacing does take a hit whenever it focuses on them. It does work out in the end, though, when it's revealed that they're actually two of the final Shocker agents during the final battle. Their story does add an element of tragedy to the whole thing, and does just hammer in how twisted and evil Shocker truly is. But at the end of the day, it does still feel like padding. And I understand why they decided to do it. After all, this film barely makes it to the hour and a half mark, including credits. But at least it's not bad padding, which is something I unfortunately cannot say about this movie's sequel, Kamen Rider The Next. But that's a story for another time.